Meet the ultimate failure of this era. 7 years ago, humanity was blessed with rare, godlike talents. Yet, amidst the chosen ones, he stood alone, a complete loser with zero potential. Just as he hit rock bottom, ready to usher in a personal catastrophe, fate played a twisted joke. Against all odds, he awakened the legendary explosive growth system. The rules were simple but game-changing. Complete the missions, and he would evolve 10 times faster than any other hunter alive. But to understand his rise, back in the present, the man kicks the metal railing with raw frustration. His voice cracks as he screams into the void. Hunters pour, bruises paint his face. A guard rushes forward, but the broken man only. The guards attempt, leave me alone. 3 hours earlier, he pleaded his case, voice shaking. Did they have any idea how much of his life he had sacrificed for this guild? Behind the mahogany desk, the guild, but in all, you never advanced. Our protagonist tried to fight back. Desperation took over. Suddenly, a shadow fell. The protagonist, how can you talk to your senior like that? Take your pocket money. Finally, he leaned in, his voice dripping with venom. Isn't that right, Lee Tai-jun? Something inside Tai-jun. Yongjin didn't even. You forgot your place. Trash. Yongjin's eyes gleamed with malice. To think a loser like you awaken an S-rank skill named explosive growth. It has to be the universe's worst joke. Explosive, unable to stomach the disrespect, Tai-jun swung his fist with everything he had. But it was futile. An energy barrier materialized around Yongjin's hand, stopping the blow effortlessly. Know your limits, Yongjin whispered. Then, a devastating fist buried itself in Tai-jun's gut. Bile rose in his throat as he crumbled to the floor. Yongjin hauled him up by the collar like a ragdoll. I am sick of you acting superior. Just because you joined the guild a few years before me. Let's see how tough you really are. Fist after fist slammed into Tai-jun's face. In the background, the guild leader coldly listed his offenses. A lowly D rank challenging a superior C rank, insubordination, and the worst crime of all, simply being Lee Tai-jun. Yongjin released his grip, letting Tai-jun's battered body hit the cold floor. A white envelope fluttered down beside his face. Thanks for the hard work, the leader sneered. Now, disappear from my sight forever. Tai-jun lay there, tears mingling with blood. Night fell. He stumbled out of a convenience store, a cheap bottle in hand, and dragged himself toward the bridge. He took a long, burning swig. Bitter, he muttered, just like my life. He clutched the envelope, his knuckles turning white. 7 years of blood and sweat, and this pathetic stack of cash was all he had to show for it. With nothing left to anchor him to this cruel world, he climbed onto the railing. Suddenly, a blue light flashed before his eyes. A system window materialized, warning, life in danger. Please step back. Tai-jun scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping his lips. Oh, so now you care. He glared at the hologram. Where were you during the 7 years of hell I endured? Rage boiled over. He swung his fist through the intangible screen. It's all because of you. Because of this useless skill. He flailed wildly at the light. Explosive growth, don't make me laugh. You never raised a single one of my stats. The status window snaps back, threatening to go on strike due to his aggression. Tai-jun bursts into manic laughter, mocking the useless system and daring it to quit. Disappear then, he roars, hurling his bottle at the hologram. The glass explodes, shattering against the empty air. Darkness consumes him as he broods over the wreckage of his past. If this trash system had just explained the skill correctly years ago, none of this would have happened. He screams his lungs out at the silent night sky, begging God for an answer. Why did he have to suffer through this living nightmare of a life? Suddenly, the blue screen spasms. It starts glitching violently, flickering with strange visual distortions, a notification pings, complaints received. But then reality snaps back to the present moment. Tai-jun stands on the precipice, shouting back at the authorities who are frantically begging him to step away from the edge. You don't understand my hell, he screams, but his foot slips. Gravity takes hold, and as he plummets past the horrified guards, he wonders if this is truly the end. Strangely, a wave of peace washes over him. Maybe this is for the best. What point is there in struggling through such a merciless world? But mid-air, the blue screen snaps back into existence. The administrator has acknowledged his grievance. Transport to the admin server, Initiated. Confusion hits Taijun hard as he glances down to see a torrent of energy swallowing him whole. Dozens of system windows pop up, screaming about a mandatory system update. The familiar blue light transmutes into a brilliant gold. A chime rings out. Update complete. Snap to reality. Taijun jolts awake, greeted not by death, but by warm sunlight and the mocking chirp of morning birds. His head is splitting. He swears a sudden memory No, impossible. Real or not, his reality is bleak. He's unemployed, broke, and has zero clue how he's going to survive. Maybe manual labor. Joining another guild as a hunter with his ruined reputation is basically a pipe dream now. As he dwells on his misery, a hologram materializes. A tiny, blonde, pointy-eared girl floats before him, chirping, "Are you satisfied with the update?" Taijun nearly jumps out of his skin. He scrambles backward, yelling in panic, "Who the hell are you?" With total Taijun blinks, his brain short-circuiting. Wait, so last night wasn't a dream? This is actually happening? Mary nods enthusiastically. 100% real. She drops a bombshell. Taijun freezes. How, he demands. Mary waves her hand, citing security protocols, but assures him with a smile that the bug is totally fixed now. Your window is fully functional. You can finally start evolving just like you were supposed to. Relief? No. Years of blood, sweat, and humiliation. All of it wasted. Not because he was weak, but because of a software bug. Mary falters. Do you want to die? Terrified, Taijun pauses. The chronic pain is gone. It feels brand new. He looks at her, stunned. How is this possible? Mary dusts herself off. A challenge. She grins. Tentacles erupt from the It touches down. Chaos erupts around him. But she shrugs, way casually. Besides, trusting your new abilities is key. Worst case scenario? You just die. She gives him a cheerful thumbs up. Across the street, the creature blooms like a grotesque flower, releasing a cloud of deadly venomous spores. That beast is a Taijun hesitated, his heart pounding. He asked if defeating this monster would truly trigger the explosive growth Mary promised. She didn't blink. Absolutely. Doubt still gnawed at him, but then a realization hit him. His life was already a spiraling tragedy. Running away now wouldn't save him from being a loser forever. With nothing left, he sprinted toward the beast. Taijun didn't falter. Ding, a system window flashed before his eyes. Mission notification. First step completed. The skill Fearless experience activated instantly, triggering explosive growth. Taijun stared at his own hands in shock. How did a single blow do that much damage? Before he could process, the status window shimmered into view. He was still technically a rank D hunter, but the numbers told a different story. Mary smirked. Don't get caught. That skill is just waking up. Booms. Explosive growth triggered again. His strength attributes surged upward with another golden glow. He marveled at the sensation. He became a blur of Finally, he locked eyes with the venom. The scene shifts. Civilians gathered around the yellow tape, whispering about the containment team. Among them stood Yongjun, whining loudly about missing the good show. Hey, look over. They sneered in disgust. Why is a loser like him here? Did he get hungry and decide to eat monster leftovers? But something was off. Yongjun leaned in, his voice dripping with venom. Did you not get the hint earlier? You're pathetic. You'll never be anything more than trash. Taijun didn't flinch. Are they here to hunt too? Suddenly, a blue system window appeared. A sly, dangerous smile crept onto Taijun's face. He decided to play along. Before Yongjun, she turned to Taijun. Taijun's smile twisted into something almost psychotic. The pieces were falling into place perfectly. He bowed his head, feigning. The soldier Yongjun snapped out of his stupor. Wait, hold on. Are you saying Taijun killed that monster? Alone. The soldier. Yongjun's jaw hit the floor. Before he could stammer a denial, Taijun waved a hand dismissively. Let's not bother the official guys. Taijun grabbed Yongjun. Inside the skeletal building, he laughed nervously. Do you seriously? Taijun remained silent. The quest was simple. That was the reason for it. Wasn't just revenge. It was efficient leveling, killing two birds with one stone. Back in the present, Taijun, the bullies stared at him. New to this whole he cracked his knuckles. One of the lackeys, he barks at Taijun to quit the nonsense. He reminds him of the golden rule. In this world, those who commit crimes get punished. To drive the point home, he slaps Taijun's head, trying to force him into submission. The protagonist simply stares back, asking calmly if he really meant those words. Then, Taijun makes his decree. Since the bald man believes in punishment, he will be the one to deliver it. And he better take it like a man. The bald thug opens his mouth to argue, but he never gets the chance. Taijun buries a fist straight into his face. The impact is catastrophic. It effectively forces a factory reset on his brain, leaving the giant sprawled helplessly on the floor. The rest of the gang freezes in shock. They rub their eyes, wondering if the bald guy just collapsed on his own accord. While they stand there paralyzed, Taijun issues a challenge. Come at him, one by one. Since they dared to threaten a superior, he wants to test them. Can they withstand even a single flick to the forehead? The group laughs it off. They think he is delusional to believe a mere finger flick could hurt them. They mock his arrogance, asking if the beating he took earlier wasn't enough to teach him a lesson. As they close in, Taijun unleashes it. A finger flick hits the bald guy with the force of a cannon. His face warps, and blood sprays from his nose like a broken fountain. Then, the massacre begins. One flick at a time, Taijun dismantles the squad. Shields shatter, weapons fly, and bodies hit the floor. In the blink of an eye, only Yongjun is left standing. He is furious and utterly confused, screaming to know if this is a prank. How could his elite team fall to flicks? Taijun replies coldly that this is no joke. He calls Yongjun by name, his eyes burning with a crimson glow. Does this still look funny to him? Yongjun is visibly shaken. Taijun announces that while the lackeys might get a pass, the leader is not going anywhere. A simple forehead flick won't suffice for scum like him. Taijun warns him to brace himself. Rage consumes Yongjun. He roars, swearing to slaughter Taijun right there. Ice spikes materialize around him. He mocks Taijun for unlocking a physical skill, but warns him not to get arrogant over one trick. Taijun doesn't flinch. He looks at the ice and casually asks when Yongjun picked up that missile skill. Suddenly, the system intervenes. A window pops up. New skill acquired. Taijun grins, thanking the system for its impeccable timing. He raises a hand to the heavens. Mana gathers, conjuring a massive fireball that looks straight out of a legendary anime. Taijun smirks at his enemy. He has a new toy to play with, too, and this is no ordinary flame. It is an rank fireball, far deadlier than the standard version, with the power to negate healing effects upon impact. Taijun asks the trembling leader exactly what he thinks of this new power. The blonde villain stares in horror. The radiating heat instantly vaporizes his ice spikes, and he questions if that fire is even real. Taijun shrugs. He just learned it, so control is an issue. He mockingly warns Yongjun to be careful before hurling the sun at him. There is no escape. The colossal sphere of fire swallows Yongjun whole. The heat is unbearable. A massive explosion rocks the foundation, cracking the building and leaving Yongjun flattened against the earth. He is roasted, clothes scorched, body dried out, and his signature hair burnt to a crisp. The blonde guy clings to consciousness, wondering how he is even alive after that cataclysm. Our protagonist steps up, mocking him for wetting himself. Even in defeat, he looks pathetic crawling on the ground. Taijun looms over him. He delivers a final warning to stop terrorizing the guild members. From now on, play nice. Terrified, Yongjun babbles apologies, swearing he understands. He calls Taijun senior and vows to quit bullying, but Taijun smirks. There is still one debt to pay. One flick remains. He aligns his finger right against the blonde guy's trembling forehead. With a devilish smile, he lets it fly. Suddenly, the scene shifts. Mari is yelling at our collapsed hero to wake up for the dungeon run. She lectures him. He burned through too much power, passed out, and has been in a coma for 3 whole days. She looks directly at the camera, breaking the fourth wall to ask if he can survive this crisis. Taijun groans, telling her to put a sock in it. His body is screaming in pain. He runs a high fever and begs for a moment of silence. She sees he is lucid. He explains that he pushed his mana to the absolute limit. That is the price of recklessness. He got greedy for strength, But this failure clarifies things. He must focus on expanding his mana capacity. Mari is skeptical. With his insane growth rate, does he really need to worry about that? He nods firmly. It is exactly because he is growing so fast that his mana needs to catch up. He is just getting started. All his stats have surged, except for one critical flaw: his mana. If he keeps hunting with this tank empty, he is going to black out again. And it gets worse. His fireball skill is now a glutton, burning twice the energy. There's no choice. He has to expand his mana pool immediately. Mary nods, sensing the urgency. But is there a way to target just mana? She asks. Jun smirks. I know the perfect grinding spot. A system window chimes, mocking him. 8 hours and 30 minutes left until his full recovery. Fast forward to the next day. An obsidian spire pierces the heavens, dominating the horizon. The training tower. Jun strides toward the monolith with Mary in tow. She cranes her neck up, eyes wide. What is that thing? The fastest way to power. It is a ghost town. As they chat, a senile old man shuffles over, squinting at Mary. Grandma, you finally came back from the dead? Jun blinks. Jun steps up. We are here for the tower mission. The old keeper cups his ear. Fast food? Tell your grandma to stop eating that greasy junk. Mission, not clarity finally hits the old man. Oh, the Challenger's mission. Why didn't you say so? Follow me. He beckons them into the gloom. Mary shivers. The keeper starts his lecture. Jun, stage is just a mob of goblins. The old man nods slowly. Mary looks at Jun with awe. You really know your stuff. Nobody knows the strategy better than me, Jun boasts. I couldn't hunt before, so I mastered the theory. I memorized every guide on the internet. This beginner. Mary cheers for him. Moment. Old man slam. 10 goblins. But then, the shadows. Hey, why do they look like ogres? Jun screams. The old man just drools, mumbling about kimchi soup. Useless. The ground shakes. Jun grits his teeth, gathering his energy. Burn. A massive fireball erupts from his hand, engulfing the front line. I will crush you all. He grins, watching the flames dance. But Mary's voice cuts through the victory. Jun, watch your back. An ogre looms from his blind spot. Too late to dodge. The massive fist connects. Boom, the impact rattles his bones. But Jun raises his staff just in time. Using the weapon as a lever, he launches himself. Skyward, he twists in the air and slams a heel directly into the beast's face. Show me what you got. One hit. Total knockout. Ding, a golden notification. Stage 1 cleared. Thanks to his explosive growth trait, his experience bar fills up in massive chunks. The old keeper cackles. Already done? That looked way too easy for you kids. Jun fights the urge to strangle him. Easy, that was a death match. It was harder than the guides said. Ignoring the complaint, the keeper waves his hand. Next stage, Jun clenches his fists. He really wants to fireball this old man. From that point on, the truth hits Jun like a truck. This was not the dungeon from the wiki. The monsters were stronger. The mobs were denser. The difficulty wasn't hard. It was nightmare. He finally understood why the tower was abandoned. It wasn't boring. It was broken. No beginner could survive this meat grinder. Welcome to hell. A montage of pain follows as Jun scrapes through trial after brutal trial. By the end, he is screaming for mercy. Jun, Mary cries out. He collapses at the summit, staring up at the final horror. The final boss stands before him. 3 heads, golden chains, fur the color of dried blood. Hellhound, level 90, rank S. Jun stares up in paralyzed horror. He used to think hellhounds were just mean dogs in the forest. But this is a calamity. He grumbles under his breath, ready to abandon the reward entirely. Even if he died and respawned a dozen times, defeating this monstrosity seems impossible. To make matters worse, his mana reserves are completely tapped out. He's running on fumes. Suddenly, a blue system window flashes before his eyes. A hidden mission. The objective? Heal the senile NPC immediately. The system explains the chaos. This old man is the source of the dungeon's instability. Restoring his sanity is the only way to bring the tower back under control. The protagonist mentally kicks himself. Of course, the entire tower was constructed from this old man's leaking mana. Since the mage can't control it, the dungeon is collapsing. The monsters are going berserk because of the chaotic energy. If he can just reset the old man to his normal state, the dungeon clears itself. Mary looks at him with concern, asking if he has a plan. He nods, though his face betrays his uncertainty. I have a theory, he admits, but it's a gamble. Wasting no time, he sprints toward the erratic elder, his mind racing back to a rumor he once heard in the hunter circles. It is said that when a high-level mage loses control, the mana overload fries their brain. They don't just lose power, they lose their minds, becoming unable to think or reason. Right now, the old man's consciousness is a chaotic tangle of mana threads. The protagonist dashes behind him, ignoring Mary's confused shouts of what are you doing? He grabs the old man's temples, his fingers moving with lightning speed. He begins a fierce massage technique, aiming to relax the elder into a state of absolute nirvana. To an outsider, it looks ridiculous. The protagonist knows it appears to be nothing more than a simple massage, but in reality, he is surgically redirecting the scattered mana flow, untangling the knots within the archmage's psyche. Come on, he grits out, sweat pouring down his face. I can fix this. I just need to force the mana back into its proper circuit. Suddenly, Mary screams a warning. Watch out. A massive pink fireball is hurtling straight for them. Desperate, he yells at the old man to wake up, his hands moving in a blur. The fireball connects. A catastrophic explosion rips through the tower, engulfing everything in blinding light and debris. But as the smoke begins to clear, the protagonist stands unharmed. He wasn't the one who took the hit. A deep, resonant voice booms through the dust. It seems my old bones caused quite a ruckus. The figure chuckles, addressing the protagonist as young one. The dust settles to reveal a shocking sight. The frail elder is gone. In his place stands a titan of muscle, and his walking stick has transformed into a colossal staff. Who are you? The protagonist stammers. The muscular elder cracks his neck, grinning. It has been an eternity since my mind was this clear. Before the conversation can continue, the hellhound recovers and lunges, jaws wide open to devour them both. The old man doesn't even flinch. With a single, fluid motion, he obliterates the beast and blows the entire roof off the tower. Absolute devastation. Turning back, he bows his head slightly. You are my benefactor, he declares. Name your wish, and it shall be granted. A chimming sound fills the air. The status window pops up. Hidden mission completed. The rewards are rolling in. We cut forward in time. The old man is now casually doing squats. The massive staff balanced effortlessly across his hulking shoulders. Reaching his 100th rep, he slams the staff into the ground, shattering the stone floor. High-intensity training. He roars. One must prepare the body for the burden of mana. He immediately strikes a bodybuilding pose, flexing biceps the size of tree trunks. This physique is the secret to becoming an archmage. This is Archmage Elkroyd. He grins at the protagonist, asking if he can feel the mana pulsing through his pectorals. Go ahead, he offers. Touch them if you dare. The protagonist awkwardly declines. Tai-Jun hesitates before speaking up. My mana capacity is, behold the body mana. Pain explodes through his body. The protagonist screams as blinding light erupts from his eyes and mouth, pure energy flooding his system. Asterisk dinged. Tai-Jun collapses, coughing. It is your efficiency. Elkroyd smiles, placing a heavy hand on Tai-Jun's shoulder. Fear not. I will help you recreate your fireball technique from scratch. Time skip. A voice calls out. Mary's jaw drops. Mary looks at him with newfound respect and suspicion. You, with a friend? And a female friend at that? Tai-Jun's Lisena cuts in, asking. He meets her gaze, his eyes intense. My old fireball could take out a building, but this new version, it's in a different league entirely. I need a place where I won't accidentally wipe out a city block. Chai-Yun narrows her eyes, realizing Tai-Jun has connections far deeper than she ever imagined. She leans in, demanding to know what he just muttered, but he waves it off with a nervous laugh. Playing the fool. The scene shifts inside the training. Suddenly, she invades his personal space, her face inches from his. Is that really the truth? She whispers. Tai-Jun stiffens, asking if there's something on his face. She pulls back with a playful smirk, denying it. She simply wanted to see how much the once weak boy had truly changed. Taijun used to be the one, but Chaiyun nods, a mysterious glint in her eyes. She warns him that he'll be shocked to see who the guest is. The door slides open. Taijun freezes. Standing there is Cho Jin-hyuk, an rank hunter, an elite member of the Baekhyun Guild. The air turns ice. Chaiyun looks between them, ignoring the mood. She demonstrates hand. Taijun questions her definition of cute, but Chaiyun dismisses herself to grab drinks, leaving the two rivals alone in the silence. As the door clicks shut behind her, the temperature in the room drops. Jin-hyuk's eyes bore into Taijun's back like daggers. Taijun ignores the glare. He extends his hands, flooding the room with mana. In seconds, a massive, roaring ogre materializes, a perfect test subject. Flash before the beast can even scream. Taijun unleashes a flurry of strikes, slicing the massive ogre in half. He sighs, disappointed, not even worth a warm-up. While Taijun stretches, Jin-hyuk steps forward, his voice dripping with venom. "Don't act innocent, Taijun." "Was it you?" Jin-hyuk demands. "Are you the one who wiped out my guild's rookies? Answer me, you idiot." He admits he didn't want to believe the "Is this what you do now?" Taijun stares at him, but the Baekhyun Guild changed. A dark, arrogant smirk. Taijun steps closer, towering over him. "Where was this righteous anger when they were beating me to a pulp? You just stood there and watched." Every word is a slap that snaps Jin-hyuk's patience. He lunges, seizing Taijun by the collar. "You've got some nerve, trash." But Taijun remains calm. Suddenly, her eyes go, seeing the distraction. Jin blocked the impact, sliding backward. He wipes his mouth, eyes narrowing. "Fine. You really have gotten stronger. I'll take this seriously now." Taijun just laughs, wondering when this weakling became Baekhyun Spear Arts, first form, Spear of Thunder. The weapon hums with destructive yellow energy, charging the air with static. Chaiyun screams. Taijun doesn't flinch. Chaiyun and the sister. It's the S-rank archmage. The sheer intent. Jin-hyuk gritted his teeth. The density of mana is overwhelming. He realizes too late he can't block this. Doom approaches, but suddenly Taijun narrows his eye. Suhayan stares at our protagonist, drained of energy. The best part, Jin-hyuk, the vice president, steps close. Jin-hyuk grinds his. Suhayan ignores. Fireball carries such. He asks one more time, and this isn't just the big four, but Taijun plays his cards carefully. He speaks up so everyone can hear, declaring that a true hunter must constantly shatter their limits through training. Suhayan raises an eyebrow. Jin-hyuk panics. Hunter Jin-hyuk. He realized the man is a mountain he cannot yet climb. He can't join myth until he conquers this obstacle standing in his way. "You're insane about this fabrication." The laughter subsides. The protagonist stands tall. "I am a D-rank hunter. My name is Lee Taijun." D-rank, Suhayan shit. We jump forward 1 month. Taijun explains the situation. He received a direct recommendation letter from Suhayan for the B-rank evaluation. At first, he hesitated. High-level dungeons mean now, the day has run. Beside him, Mari Taijun scoffs confidently. Real talent recognizes real talent. "I'm in a league of my own." Mari rolls her eyes and asks the million-dollar question. "Why didn't you just—" "Simple," he replied. "The rewards are trash, and the schedule is a nightmare. I'd have no freedom. I'd work like a dog only to be discarded the moment I get injured. No thanks. I want cold, hard cash, and nothing else." Suddenly, a voice called. "It's a girl. This is you shit." She confirms his suspicion. "Obsessed with recruiting you." She gives a mischievous grin. "They say you're such a monster that the vice president of Myth himself has been watching over you." Arp nods, but their conversation is shattered by a loud, arrogant voice. "I came to see the hype, but all I see is mediocrity." A man steps forward, looking down on Taijun. "This is Han." He sneers, just another lunatic. All eyes snap to the stage. The woman commands the room's attention. She continues. Taijun's jaw drops in shock. Jin-hyuk grabs the microphone. "Good to see you all." His eyes scan the crowd. "The exam begins now. 8 hunters, divided into pairs, will brave a custom-made dungeon prepared specially for this evaluation. This labyrinth, speed is key. The first duo to pierce the depths will face the boss directly. Even if death looms, a medical team stands ready to intervene. But heed this warning. A hidden scoring system watches their every move. They must remain vigilant if they wish to pass. The briefing ends. It is time. When called, the participants grab their streaming gear and step toward the portals. Team A consists of Yiren and Kang Jian. Team B pairs Yang Dong Jun with Hong Ari. Team C features Choi and Bong Jun Hyan. And finally, assigned to the perilous Route D, Lee Tai-jun and Kim Jun Hyan. Fate is cast. As they head to their locations, our protagonist turns to the hulking figure beside him, recognizing a familiar face. He cannot believe his eyes. Jun Hyan forces a smile, claiming it is an honor to serve alongside a rank C veteran from the Bixin Guild. But from the shadows, the guild master Jin Guk watches the livestream with a sneer. He mentally taunts Tai-jun, convinced the boy will regret crossing him. This test will not be the walk in the park Tai-jun expects. Jun Hyan nods, and together they cross the threshold. Inside, a gruesome sight awaits a colossal serpent corpse, impaled on spikes before a skeletal throne in the dark. Flashback to the guild's dark office. Jin Guk's voice dripped with malice as he gave his orders. He demanded Jun Hyun's full attention. The mission was not to pass, but to sabotage Tai-jun during the Rank B evaluation. He revealed that Route D was a designed death trap. If Jun Hyan played his part, Tai-jun would never survive the exam. Then, the ultimate leverage. Jin Guk brought up Jun Hyun's sick mother, dangling the surgery money like raw meat before a starving dog. With a serpent's tongue, he demanded blind trust. Just move forward, he hissed. Back in the present, Jun Hyan stares at the path ahead, burdened by his dark secret and the unfairness of Route D. Suddenly, Tai-jun points ahead. A nest of pale white snakes blocks their path. Monsters. Bam! With a single, casual punch, 3 heads explode into mist. Tai-jun frowns, wondering why they are so fragile and yield such pitiful experience points. Jun Hyan freezes in shock. He knows Tai-jun has the explosive growth ability, but this raw power makes no sense for such low gains. His mind races. Just weeks ago, they were equals bottom feeders of the guild. How did Tai-jun become a monster so quickly? Back at Bixin, they were the weakest of the weak. Yet, Tai-jun's eyes never lost their fire. He remembers a moment of kindness. Tai-jun once admired Jun Hyun's ability to absorb damage, calling it a diamond in the rough. Someone with a skill like that will eventually shine, Tai-jun had said. Just keep trying. That day, the senior he is now forced to betray gave him hope when the world gave him nothing. Guilt claws at his throat. Sabotaging Tai-jun is the work of trash, and he knows it. But fate is cruel. The image of his dying mother flashes in his mind. He has no choice. For her sake, he must become a villain. Trembling, he offers a vial to the protagonist, lying through his teeth that it is a powerful buff potion. He insists it is necessary for the dangers ahead, a desperate gambit to weaken his target. Tai-jun smiles, thanks him, and drains the bottle. Victory seems certain. Jun Hyan thinks the paralysis poison is already coursing through his veins. But suddenly panic, not paralysis, but a rumble in the gut. Tai-jun clutches his stomach, claiming a demon is awakening in his bowels. Jun Hyan stammers that there are no toilets here. Tai-jun realizes there is only one way out. Speedrun the dungeon immediately. Ping! A system window appears before Tai-jun. Resistance to all poisons has negated the toxin's deadly effects. Unaware of the skill, the chubby traitor watches in confusion. Why is he still standing? Does he have resistance? Deeper in the abyss, they reach a massive chasm, a dead end. It feels like they are walking in an endless loop. The dungeon design is maddening, disorienting their senses. Jun Hyan stares at Tai-jun's exposed back. This is it, the perfect moment. A push here won't kill him, but the fall will end his exam. Screaming a tearful apology, he charges. He lunges to shove him into the void but misses completely, stumbling past him. Momentum carries the traitor over the edge, but a hand snaps out. Tai-jun grabs his leg just in time. Tai-jun shouts in desperation, dangling his teammate over the abyss. Are you crazy? Do you have a death wish? Jun Hyan breaks down. He weeps, calling himself garbage, begging Tai-jun to let him fall and die. The truth spills out. He confesses everything: the sabotage, the betrayal, the plot to ruin Taijun's evaluation. Just let trash like me fall. Taijun cuts him off. We can talk later, but his face is twisted in agony. Not from betrayal, but from the potion. The devil in his stomach is crowning. He wonders if he can relieve himself right here while the stream is offline. But the moment he scans his surroundings, he realizes they are not alone. 10 pairs of eyes are fixed on them from the shadows. Desperate to keep their movements hidden, he grabs Junhyun, attempting to hoist him up. But disaster strikes. The ground beneath them crumbles, sending them plunging into the abyss below. Darkness swallows them whole. Groans of pain echo in the void until a bone-chilling hiss cuts through the silence. Suddenly, the shadows come alive as countless snakes slither from the gloom, their fangs bared. Meanwhile, Team B is facing a catastrophe. Exhaustion hangs heavy in the air as the observer questions their resolve. For Hongari, the pressure is too much. She breaks down, screaming for her mother and begging for release. Her resignation seals their fate. Team B is eliminated, leaving poor Yang Dongjun behind, his desperate cries for help echoing in an empty hall. Chaos reigns in Team C as well. Internal conflict erupts into violence, tearing the group apart and leading to their swift elimination. Now, only one hope remains: Team A. The observer challenges their potential, but Yuseirin faces the camera with icy confidence, vowing to slaughter the 1,000-year-old white snakes. But her monologue is cut short. Behind her, Kangjin is already charging into the fray, roaring like a berserker as his aura explodes with terrifying intensity. Seirin flinches, stunned by his recklessness. It is a one-man show, and she is being left in the dust. Kangjin rampages through the nest, shouting that this evaluation is his golden ticket. He is determined to catch the boss's eye, and refuses to let this opportunity slip through his fingers. Furious that he is hogging the glory, Seirin snaps. She refuses to let him steal the spotlight. Raising her hand, she unleashes her freezing wind skill. Ice storms through the cavern, freezing the vipers mid-strike. She screams that she will not be reduced to a mere background character. She declares herself the true protagonist of this test. With their overwhelming power, Team A crushes the trial, proving the might of the four major guilds as they breach the boss room. They are greeted by Jin Hyuk, who stands before the massive doors. He offers a smooth congratulation for their survival and beckons them forward, promising to escort them directly to the final boss. Yuseirin glances around, asking if Taijun has arrived yet. Jin Hyuk replies coldly that Team D's livestream has cut out, implying their elimination. Kangjin scoffs, claiming he knew Taijun was weak, but Seirin looks disappointed. She had high expectations for someone recommended by Su Hyan. Jin Hyuk urges them onward to the boss chamber, effectively hiding a malicious sneer. As they step inside, but their confidence shatters instantly. Terror grips them as he absorbs magic. However, when riding a cannon perched on Junhyun's shoulder with a wild grin, the protagonist points to the ceiling, commanding them to crash straight into the boss room. Back in the boss chamber, Jin Hyuk is trembling. This was not the plan. The dungeon boss should have been the Imyagai, but the serpent is dead, controlled by a lich standing before them. His mind races. Someone has tampered with the dungeon's core settings. Seirin screams in disbelief, demanding answers about the lich's presence. Suddenly, the massive undead serpent rears its head. Jin Hyuk orders them to take cover, but it is too late. The beast strikes, snatching Jin Hyuk into the air as the team shouts in horror. Realizing they cannot just stand and watch, unleashing their power, the students launch a desperate counterattack against the creature. But the lich merely flicks a bony finger. Instantly, jagged stakes of ice materialize and shoot forward, slamming into the hunters with devastating force. Jin Hyuk realizes the lich is the source. He charges the throne to stop the necromancer, but the beast is faster. Its tail whips around, pinning him to the ground. Crushed under the weight, he curses his carelessness. Is this the end? Will he die here without ever saying his final goodbye to Senna? Death seems certain until the ceiling explodes. The two clumsy variables crash down, smashing the hell train directly into the serpent's skull, leaving Jin Hyuk staring in disbelief. Taijun and Junhyun high-five amidst the rubble, celebrating their insane arrival. Jin Hyuk is relieved to be alive, but survival is not guaranteed yet. He snaps out of his daze, realizing the danger has only just begun. He screams at the newcomers, warning them to back away from the undead Imugai. The protagonist narrowly dodges a crushing strike from the serpent and shouts back, asking if a lich and an Imugai combo isn't a bit excessive for a mere B-rank test. Jin Hyuk grits his teeth, admitting the truth. Someone interfered with the evaluation. Someone wanted them to fail. It is the work of a shadow powerful enough to manipulate the guilds, or perhaps someone with connections even deeper in the underworld. The protagonist's eyes sharpen. He understands the stakes. He points at the monsters, asking a simple question. So, we just have to kill them both, right? Stress veins pop on Jin Hyuk roars a warning as the Taijin at his he triggers the divine spear technique, second form. A flurry of slashes erupts, tearing into the Imugai from every conceivable angle at once. Tima moves in for the kill. Kang seizes the opening. He drives a frost-covered fist straight through the lich's chest, piercing the undead monster's core. The protagonist wastes not a second. He shoves a blazing sphere of flame into Jun Hyun's mouth, unleashing the Hell-trained skill for a devastating follow-up strike on the lich. Victory seems certain as the monster begins. Bone spikes erupt from the groans of pain fill the chamber. He frantically analyzes just as despair begins to creep. Listen up, she commands. From now on, the map is your weapon. She tells him to sync with the hacked interface immediately and fight back. What the hell are you talking about? Loading dungeon mapping. The system floods his vision with data monster stats, structural weaknesses, and hidden layouts. It is rewriting the very reality of the dungeon map. The download hits 100%. A mental hologram flickers to life, displaying a crisp notification. Partially navigation activated. Partially navigate. She explains that it is not just a map. Plus, she installed combat assist plugins. Taijin's eyes widen. This is not just a vision hack. It is a full-blown tactical assistant. He finally has the upper hand. He checks the data. The bot. Incredible. The lich rasps. A translation app. Mary suggests it is a Taijin's mind races. He snaps. Jin Guk groans. No time to explain. Taijin starts hopping around like a. The dignity of the undead archmage shatters. Rage flares in the lich's empty eye sockets. You seek an early. Red warning markers flash across Taijin's vision. He sees exactly where the spikes will emerge. Gather on me. Now, they weave through the death trap, barely escaping the ivory spears. Taijin's the trajectory. Wow, you missed again. Blinded by, he becomes the conductor of the slippery rat. Dark mana floods the Where do we go? The Irides rage. It is a spell of. As the energy swells, Irides sneers at the humans, idiots. When you dodge the rain, you only invite the flood. There is no escaping this. However, like demons rising from hell, Iratus shrieked. The Requiem of Death was a nightmare spell. Its power grew devastatingly strong at a distance, but weakened the closer one got to the eye of the storm. Guided by the he had pulled his team into the danger zone just in time. Stay close to me or you die, he had warned. Back in the present, Taijin barked his order. Saren, freeze him. She unleashed a gale of glacial wind, locking the undead mage in solid ice. Impressive, Iratus scoffed, though the ice held him fast. But mere physical attacks cannot harm a master of death. Taijin ignored the taunt, signaling the team to hold the line while he sprinted toward the rear. The lich's hollow eyes followed him. Confusion turned to absolute panic as he realized exactly where the human was heading. Taijin's mind raced as he ran. A lich is bound by a soul contract. As long as their sacrificial offering remains intact, they are invincible. He zeroed in on a hidden cache of seals. Destroying that box wouldn't just hurt the lich, it would forcefully void his existence. Fury exploded from Iratus. You dare, he roared. Shattering the ice prison, the lich charged. He screamed ancient curses, abandoning magic to strike Taijin down with his bare claws. Death was inches away, but the team was faster. Jin Hyuk tackled the monster from above, while spears impaled him to the earth. We've got him, they shouted, straining against the undead's strength. Taijin, end this now. With a nod of gratitude, Taijin pulled back his fist, aiming not at the monster, but past him. Asterisk boom, asterisk. His fist pulverized the stone wall, revealing a secret compartment. With a manic grin, he snatched the small chest hidden within. Iratus thrashed violently, desperate to reach his staff. Meanwhile, Jin-Yuk watched in awe, wondering how Tai-Jun knew such a devastating secret. But in the chaos, they missed a subtle shift. The Lich's magic began to flare. Impossible, Iratus thought, clawing at the ground. Only my master knows the location of my soul vessel. Jin-Yuk struck again, but the Lich was unstoppable now. Shrugging off the attacks, the monster marched relentlessly toward Tai-Jun. Tai-Jun didn't flinch. He held the box aloft, his smile twisting into something truly demonic. Take one more step, and I shatter your soul. Iratus froze instantly. Do you speak the ancient tongue? He stammered. Tai-Jun ignored the question entirely. Listen very carefully, Bone Bag. This is the only chance you have to survive. The Lich let out a hollow, bitter laugh. I am bound by contract. I cannot disobey my master's will. Tai-Jun shrugged nonchalantly. Then just break the contract. Simple. Absurd, Iratus cried. Only an ancient archmage possesses such power. A mere servant like me can do nothing. Tai-Jun stepped closer, his aura imposing. Look at me. Do I really look like an ordinary human to you? He had deciphered the spell. He had found the hidden vessel. Doubt crept into the Lich's mind. Could this human actually be a disguised monster? Trembling, the Lich dropped to his knees. I will trust you, Iratus rasped. What is your command, Great One? Tai-Jun suppressed a grimace from his stomach injury. First, call off your dogs outside. Get rid of them. He glanced at his navigation skill to confirm. How did you know about them? Iratus whispered, terrified of the man's omniscience. Outside, the skeleton army crumbled to dust. Lie to me, Tai-Jun whispered, tightening his grip on the box, and you cease to exist. The deed was done. The army is gone. The Lich whimpered. What else do you seek? Tai-Jun's grin widened, looking more villainous than the monster. Give me everything. I want it all. Everything, the Lich stammered. Your gear, your treasures, strip, Tai-Jun commanded. I have nothing, Iratus pleaded. But Tai-Jun wasn't a fool. He pointed a finger directly at the Lich's glowing weapon. That staff looks expensive. The skeleton clutched the staff protectively like a child. No, not this. *CRACCCK. The sound of the box stressing broke the Lich's will instantly. Tai-Jun snatched the legendary staff. Now, Iratus begged, please, Great One, break my contract. Set me free. Tai-Jun looked at him, his face going completely blank. I don't know how to do that, Tai-Jun admitted flatly. The Lich stood there, his jaw practically hitting the floor. I can't even cast a fireball, let alone break a soul seal, Tai-Jun scoffed, turning to leave. You really shouldn't believe everything people tell you. Work on that. Iratus exploded with fury, his voice shaking the cavern walls as he roared that Tai-Jun dared to deceive a king. But as the monster stepped forward with murderous intent, our protagonist held his ground. He warned coldly that one more step would shatter the offering into dust. No hesitation, Tai-Jun hurled the chest against the stone floor. Smash! The artifact broke, and the Lich's body immediately began to crumble into ashes amidst a storm of curses. Even as he faded into the void, Iratus wailed in despair, lamenting that he was mere seconds away from his glorious return. Tai-Jun and Mari could only watch the spectacle, admitting that even in death, the Lich knew how to make a dramatic exit. The protagonist knelt, retrieving a severed, rotten finger from the debris. He wondered if this gruesome object was the true offering, realizing its immense value since it summoned a calamity-class monster. Mari asked who could possess the power to summon a Lich, but Tai-Jun shrugged it off, declaring that the loot was the only thing that mattered now. However, Mari's sharp eyes caught something else. She pointed to a small, mysterious octahedron resting innocently on the ground. Tai-Jun moved in to inspect the second drop, picking up the geometric object to analyze its properties with his system interface. The details remained a mystery, encrypted beyond his level. He simply smirked, reasoning that anything dropping from a boss skull had to be worth a fortune. His appraisal was cut short as the rest of the party scrambled inside, shouting to check on him. Acting fast, Tai-Jun stashed the necromancer's staff into his inventory. Jin Hyuk took the lead, breathless and wide-eyed, asking if Tae-jun really soloed the boss. Our hero nodded calmly, claiming the lich simply vanished without a trace. Jin Hyuk, the typically arrogant hothead, lowered his gaze. He admitted that as much as he hated to say it, the reality was undeniable. Tae-jun was a monster of a hunter. Even Seorin and Jung Hyun nodded in agreement. Power recognized power. While the group celebrated their survival in the background, Jin Hyuk pulled our protagonist aside. The guilt was eating him alive as he apologized for the poison and the pit trap. He frantically explained that Jung Hyun had only acted on his direct orders, taking full responsibility for the betrayal. To seal his apology, he confessed his confusion. He didn't even know why he tormented Tae-jun, or how their childhood friendship had dissolved into such bitterness. But deep down, he knew the truth. It was envy. He hated that our protagonist worked harder than anyone, despite having zero talent. While he stagnated, it was his own insecurity that lashed out. With his pride stripped away, he offered a sincere, heartfelt apology to the man he had tried to kill. However, Tae-jun just scoffed. He laughed in Jin Hyuk's face, asking if he really thought a veteran like him would fall for such amateur traps. Finally, he tapped before Jin Hyuk could. Jin Hyuk's eyes lit up. He agreed instantly, promising to buy Tae-jun whatever he craved, no matter the cost. And of course, our protagonist had only one thing on his mind: premium, melt-in-your-mouth Korean beef. But the heartfelt moment took a sharp turn. Jin Hyuk leaned in, whispering a gossip-filled question. "Do you like Lee Shanna?" The look of absolute disgust on Tae-jun's face was legendary. Tae-jun burst out laughing, pointing a mocking finger at the flushing warrior. The tables had turned completely, red as a tomato. While they bickered like old friends, Jung Hyun called out. The dungeon gate was open. Freedom and a massive meal awaited them on the other side. As they stepped through the shimmering stand, Su Yen-hwa, the blue-haired empress of the Clear Sky Guild, and Ma Taepyeong, the red-haired beast from the Horn Guild. In simple, Su Yen-hwa wasted no time. Radiating a menacing aura like a JoJo character, she strode forward, declaring she already knew about the dungeon's anomaly. Her voice was ice. The eccentric woman, she stopped inches from Tae-jun. With a sadistic, knowing smile, she pointed directly at him. "You are the anomaly." Tae-jun played dumb, but Seorin and Jin Hyuk were genuinely confused. Stepping up to defend their teammate, they argued that Tae-jun, but Su Yen-hwa, the guilds had been she saw everything. Even without knowing, she leaned in, her eye, as she laid out the Seo-yin was the most insistent. Internally, however, our hero was, but fate gave. Matt stormed forward like a fear spiked in tide. Stay calm. He told himself. He had to think fast and clear his name. Whether he liked it or not, he looked guilty as sin right now. His mind raced, connecting the dots, the lich, the sacrifice, and the contractor. A light bulb went off. He reached a desperate time for an Oscar-worthy performance. He didn't let up. He had studied the dark arts, memorizing every characteristic, ability, and fatal weakness of the undead. With dramatic flair, he pointed. Seo-yin narrowed her eye. "Don't believe me." Tae-jun smirked internally. "Then gaze upon my trump card." He reached into his This wasn't just a body part. It was proof. A contract existed. The lich wasn't a random test monster spawned by the system. Someone had. His logic was ironclad. Seo-yin paused. "Then who is it?" The red-haired man growled, his killing intent dampening slightly. "Someone from the dark." "The rat is still here." Panic rippled through the crowd as eyes darted to hands. Suddenly, a figure in the center bolted. A man broke formation, sprinting desperately for freedom. The crowd erupted. Tae-jun turned. Mary just stared at him, dumbfounded. But there was no time for jokes. Matt launched himself like a rocket, while Seo-yin cast a barrier spell, trapping the rat in a cage of magic. Matt unleashed his ultimate tech, but before Matt roared in frustration. Seo-yin used dark magic to target. Then, with a terrifying mood, but Tae-jun didn't hear the last thing he heard. Tae-jun blinked his eyes. "Why are you guys here?" he croaked. "The red, push yourself to." But the worry quickly turned to. The comments were unanimous. Jin Hyuk scoffed. Lee Seo-ah rolled her as they bickered playfully. A warm feeling spread through Tae-jun's chest. It had been so long since he could just relax and banter with his friends like this. But the moment the door opened to reveal with an air of absolute authority. When Tai-jun collapsed, that debt wasn't true. Her voice trembled slightly. Then the atmosphere shifted. Was this a negotiation, or was the vice leader actually trying to seduce our protagonist? Tai-jun, maintaining his stoic Sigma focus, simply replied that his mind was blank on rewards. While beside him, Jin Hyuk turned beet red witnessing this high-level seduction play. Su-yin pulled back, her composure returning as she assured him there was no rush to decide his fate just yet. She would be waiting in the executive office on the top floor, whenever he was ready to name his price. The moment the door clicked shut, Sena launched herself at him in a crushing hug, praising his insane growth, while Jin Hyuk could only shake his head, calling him a lucky bastard. The redhead pulled back, eyes shining as she remarked that it felt like just yesterday she was babysitting a rookie. She remembered a Tai-jun who got lost in dungeons and struggled against trash mobs. But the man before her now had evolved into something entirely different. Releasing him from the hug, she pressed him on the reward, but just like before, Tai-jun's mind was empty. He genuinely didn't know what to ask for. Sena's eyes gleamed with strategy as she reminded him they were dealing with a guild vice leader. He should demand high-tier magic artifacts or skill books for someone of Su-yin's caliber. That was pocket change, but her expression softened, warning him that right now, his recovery was the only mission that mattered. The scheming could wait. With a warm smile, she handed him a recovery potion, telling him to heal up quickly before the next storm hits. The protagonist thanked her, and with final goodbyes, Sena and Jin Hyuk left to handle their business, leaving him in the silence of the private ward. The moment they were gone, Mary the fairy popped out, swooning over how lucky Tai-jun was, her little heart racing at the thought of a beauty like the vice leader granting wishes. Meanwhile, Tai-jun gave her the ultimate "what are you talking about" stare, completely immune to the romantic implications. He shifted gears, finally analyzing his reward options. Cash crossed his mind, but he quickly realized liquid assets were a terrible investment. Since she was an S-rank hunter, she had access to the priceless artifacts that money literally couldn't buy. But before he could finalize his plan, a thought struck him, and he asked Mary where all his loot from the last run had disappeared to. She explained they were auto-stored in the parsley market, but Tai-jun just stared blankly, the term sounding like absolute gibberish to him. Mary, on the other hand, lit up with excitement, thrilled that the protagonist had finally triggered the tutorial for the market function. She had been waiting ages for him to ask so she could drop this lore bomb. It was essentially a multi-dimensional trading platform where 100 million users from various realities bought and sold items in real time. If Tai-jun registered right this second, he'd snag the new user package, 0 exchange fees, secure transaction protocols, and a 7% member reward bonus. Tai-jun couldn't help but think this sounded exactly like a shady mobile game ad. Speaking of which, have you smashed that like button yet? But then, the gears in his head started turning. He realized he might be the only person on Earth with interface access to this market. The realization hit him like a truck. He was the sole user in this entire world with the updated system. This wasn't just a store, it was a monopoly waiting to happen. He could import items nobody else could touch and resell them for a fortune. A truly villainous grin spread across his face as he imagined cornering the entire global market. Mary looked horrified at his sudden evil expression, completely unprepared for his capitalist awakening. As Tai-jun aggressively clicked the button to enter the parsley market, verification flashed green, registration completed, and in a blink, his physical body was warped out of the hospital room and into a new dimension. He materialized in a sprawling medieval metropolis, surrounded by crowds of diverse species hawking items for strange prices like 1.8. Tai-jun looked round in awe, unable to shake the feeling that he had literally stepped inside an MMORPG. But since they were already inside the instance, Mary suggested he stop gawking and check out the merchandise. He beelined for the first vendor, a rugged man with twisted horns, a monocle, and a beard that defied gravity, who was showcasing a red shield known as the Dragon Cinnabar Shield. It was a masterpiece forged from dragon scales, boasting impenetrable defense, listed for the price of 18,000 parsley coins. Curious, he asked Mary for the exchange rate, expecting a reasonable number. But he was left shell-shocked to learn that 18,000 coins equaled roughly 240,000 magic stones, millions upon millions in currency. And the nightmare didn't end there. Mary cheerfully added that this was just the base price for entry-level trash. It was painfully clear he was too broke to buy anything here. But then he remembered the pile of loot he had collected and wondered, just how much was his trash worth? Feigning the innocence of a complete rookie, he pulls a staff from his inventory. He turns to the horned, bald merchant, asking for a price check. But the appraisal is brutal. The staff is utterly unsellable, bound by a nasty curse. Unless the buyer is a mage of legendary power, the item is useless. It is dead weight in the market. With his first plan in ruins, the protagonist pulls out a strange, dark stone. He extends it to the merchant, hoping for a better appraisal. Since it dropped from the same boss monster, he expects a fortune. But the merchant's offer hits him like a slap in the face. 10 measly coins. It was practically trash, the dream of a wealthy, monopoly-filled future shattered instantly in his mind. As the horned merchant waved them off, Mary tried to salvage the mood. She insisted that small fortunes grow over time, and empires aren't built overnight. She urged him to just relax and be patient. However, a shadow fell over them. A stranger approached, eyes locked on the crystal, asking if Taijin had a moment to trade. It was a short, unassuming demon lord. Taijin dismissed the crystal as junk, but the demon insisted, claiming the deal would be worth his while. The moment the demon held the stone, his suspicions were confirmed. If this raw material were refined and upgraded, it would become a legendary artifact. Since they were already there, the demon offered a generous proposal. He would cover the entire cost of the enchantment process himself. But before Taijin could celebrate this stroke of luck, the trap was sprung. The demon added a single, heavy condition. If Taijin failed the upgrade, he would owe every single coin back. But if he succeeded, he could walk away scot-free. Taijin looked confused, but his instincts were screaming. The demon stared at him with a grin that was truly predatory. Mary immediately realized the danger. She leaned in, whispering urgently that this guy was a textbook scammer. It was the oldest trick in the market. They lured rookies in with absurd upgrade costs, burying them in debt they could never repay. Only a complete fool would take the bait. But Taijin simply asked if he could stop the upgrade process whenever he pleased. The demon agreed instantly. He knew, without a doubt, that this rookie would fail long before he could stop. Playing the role of the fool perfectly, Taijin accepted. Mary panicked, trying to drag him away, screaming that this would end in disaster. But our boy wasn't walking into a trap. He was setting one. He had a strategy hidden up his sleeve and told her to just sit back and watch. He was about to teach her a lesson in defying the odds. His passive skill, explosive growth, triggered silently. His luck stats were skyrocketing. His strategy was terrifyingly simple. Taijin could upgrade, but a single failure meant total bankruptcy. The higher the success, the deadlier the risk became. The demon transferred but Taijin he clicked the button without fear. Flash. The obsidian crystal evolved into a +1 enchantment. The demon offered a patronizing congratulation, saying he was 80% there. But then, the demon got greedy. He provoked Taijin, asking if he was coward enough to stop at just one upgrade. A crazy smile spread across Taijin's face. He confidently declared that he wouldn't stop until he hit +9. The demon paused, genuinely confused. He asked if Taijin was insane, as the risk was now astronomical. Internally, the demon was laughing, calling him a beginner idiot. The success rate for a +9 enchantment was practically zero. It was a 1 in 1,000 chance. With a hidden smirk, he sent over the materials, certain he had just won. Taijin received the items and grinned. With the manic energy of a psychopath, he began spamming the upgrade button without a shred of hesitation. Mary watched in horror, screaming for him to stop. The tension in the air was suffocating. The demon laughed out loud, calling him a lunatic. He prepared to collect the massive debt Taijin was racking up, but our favorite trickster simply silenced him. He held up the stone, revealing the impossible: success. It wasn't just an item anymore. +9 meant +10 to all stats, and a massive 20% mana recovery boost. The demon froze in the exact same laughing pose. Shock paralyzed him. He couldn't comprehend how Taijin had pulled off the impossible. He tried to keep his composure, but panic was setting in. Taijin hadn't failed once. The demon began to suspect this rookie might be a system administrator in disguise, but he couldn't let it end like this. To walk away now would be a catastrophic financial loss. He forced a smile, congratulating Taijin on the impressive feat, but his eyes betrayed his desperation. Since they had come this far, why not go for glory? He suggested the final, ultimate upgrade. Just one more enchantment to reach the maximum level. The little red demon was biting his nails, his expression cracking under the pressure. And for the first time, even our confident protagonist felt a spike of nerves. The real gamble was about to begin. Thanks to his explosive growth, the path to upgrade level +9 was guaranteed. A 100% success rate, however, the final ascension. Even with every buff active, the odds plummeted to a mere 10%. It was a brutal drop from the initial 1 in a million, but still a gamble with destiny. If he pushed his luck and failed now, he would lose absolutely everything he had built. A sane man would be satisfied with his current overpowering stats. But Taijin wasn't just anyone. The burning curiosity of how game-breaking a max-level artifact would be consumed him. Predictably, logic lost the war against greed. He accepted the challenge, but he laid down one non-negotiable condition for the demon. Take me to the perfect spot. They arrived at the upgrade point during peak hours. The scene was apocalyptic, players stripped of their gear, desperate souls begging for one last shot at glory. It was clear these poor wretches were addicted to the gambling minigame, having sacrificed their fortunes to the little tiger. Taijin looked over the sea of ruined players, feeling a wave of pity for the items lost to their greed. When Mari asked if this location actually boosted success rates, his voice was cold and flat. Nothing has changed physically. Yet, his heart hammered against his ribs in fear. Taijin began to explain his philosophy. Luck isn't random. It is a flow. Whether you have a 10% chance or 1%, success is inevitable if you catch the wave. The real mastery lies in reading the flow of fortune, with perfect timing. Even the most ridiculous odds can be shattered. Taijin turned to Mari, his eyes intense, asking if she couldn't sense it. Can't you feel the sorrow of all these destroyed items? He explained that in this chaos, he could feel the precise millisecond to strike. The thunderous applause and the crushing regret of the crowd created a rhythm, and in that split second, the entire flow of the universe aligned with him. Without a moment of hesitation, he slammed the enchant button. The demon watched with a sneer, convinced this was sheer lunacy. Attempting a full upgrade was a fool's errand with a near-zero chance of victory. The tension in the air was suffocating, heavy enough to crush everyone watching, including 3 strange pop culture references flickering in the background. Legends seemingly bore witness to this madness. It was a moment that could only be described as pure, unadulterated luck. Suddenly, light exploded. The item hit the maximum level. Taijin roared in triumph, shouting "Siu," like a soccer legend celebrating a World Cup goal. The obsidian crystal now gleamed at +10, radiating a mysterious and powerful twilight glow. The crowd stood frozen in shock. Not only was this the first time they had witnessed a max-upgraded item, but it was forged from a material of national power. The little red demon's face twisted in fury. Realizing he had lost the bet, he began shrieking, branding Taijin a dirty scammer. But as the old laws of the street dictate, a hustler is a hustler, and a fool is just a victim. The demon accused Taijin of using illegal hacks to cheat the system. Taijin simply smirked, firing back with cold logic. Who is the real scammer here? You tried to extort me while pretending to help. Seething with rage, the demon vowed that Taijin would never log in again, immediately filing reports to ban his account. But Taijin was already one step ahead. He blocked the user and logged out of the parsley market, leaving the screaming scammer behind in the digital dust. Back in reality, resting in his hospital bed, Taijin grinned. He had mastered a legendary item for free. He chuckled, calling the demon cute. Mari, however, was not amused. She scolded him fiercely, reminding him that the risk was insane. If he had lost, the debt for the coins and materials would have buried him. But the little actor just shrugged. If I failed, I would have just run away. Once again, he shifted into psychopath mode. He gazed at the floating obsidian crystal, mocking the naive demon. Who's the scammer now? He was ecstatic, having extracted top-tier intel from the market for zero cost. Gripping the staff, power surged through him. He mused that he might actually be able to wield this beast of a weapon. Scene shift to the top floor of the Clear Sky Guild Hospital. Tai-jun strode into Vice Leader Seo Yeon-ho's office, carrying an air of confidence. She offered a polite greeting, asking if his recovery was going well. He replied that while not fully healed, he was mobile enough. She noted his determination, realizing he had come because he finally knew what reward he wanted. Internally, if her intuition was suddenly interrupting, the air left the room. It took like the dense fool he is. He asked if he made a mistake. Seo Yeon-ho just shook her head, blushing as she dismissed it as a misunderstanding. The vice leader was clear. Even Mari stared, regaining her composure. She let out a breath of. She asked to inspect the weapon, but when Tai-jun handed over the staff, her eyes narrowed sharply. Wait, did you retrieve this back when you were just a D-rank? After confirming, she explains that the visual effects are both the protagonist and Miri. To her, a curse is, however, lurking behind her. The protagonist's expression shifts into a twisted, maniacal grin. He clutches a small obsidian crystal, extending it toward her unguarded back. This isn't just a pretty gem. Hidden beneath its dark surface lies a terrifying secret. It possesses. This was his endgame all along. Sure, purifying the item is nice, but snatching an S-rank ability? That is a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot he refuses to miss. But fate throws a wrench. It happens in a split second. A shadowy entity bursts forth and slams into Yan, striking her gut and violently draining her mana. Panic explodes. The impact, but switching tactics instantly. Logic dictates it wasn't weakness. The protagonist demands answers. Is this a dungeon monster? But Yan shakes her head. It looks like a beast, but the truth is far worse. That thing is the curse itself, manifested into reality. A malevolent cursed spirit. A chill runs down. Yan explains the situation, but there is a catch. Left with no choice. Swords of light, but that level of firepower will vaporize the protagonist's precious staff. He steps in immediately. He is not letting his loot get destroyed. Desperation fuels. It's a bold strategy. He understands. He looks her dead in the eyes. She places, be quick, the power infusion buff. While holding the spirit back, the crystal pulses silently, mimicry complete. He has successfully copied Yan's S-class ability right under her nose. The interface reveals that, and here is where the protagonist breaks the game. He possesses the calculator trait. When fused with Dispel spell, the synergy triggers an explosive growth reaction. Yan has to manually solve the. It isn't magic. Unaware of his system, she stares in bewilderment. The borrowed emerald. He forms a condensed. The creature shrieks in terror, trying to crawl away with half its body missing, dragging its entrails across the floor. Yan freezes. He gives the spirit no quarter. Depleted and broken. At long last, the suffocating seal binding the staff shattered into nothingness. Tai-jun didn't hold back his awe, but Seona was regaining her composure like a pro, cutting straight to the heart of the Harayon Guild. The guild master puffed out his chest, arrogance radiating off him. He declared it the ultimate martial art, assuring Tai-jun he had made the choice of a lifetime. To prove it, he blurted. Tai-jun simply smiled. Back within the solid, his fist collided. Tai-jun marveled at the power, but suddenly, a blue cyst fury boiled in his veins. If he had known this handicapping, and he is speaking of, compared to the 7 years of hell, he summoned a horde of monsters, not for support, but as punching bags. Roaring, he charged into the fray for brutal hand-to-hand combat. Time skipped to the training hall while trying to process that just recently, he was, moreover, he had caught the predatory eyes of both Suhayan of Clear Sky and the Harayon Guild Master. His growth wasn't just fast, it was monstrously unnatural. It was like watching a glorious butterfly tear its way out of a restrictive cocoon. Although she smiled at his success, a pang of sorrow hit her heart. It felt like he was drifting into a world where she could no longer follow. While she was lost in thought watching Tai-jun, Suhayan materialized behind her, his voice low as he noted the worry etched on her face. She jumped, startled by his ghost-like rival. He casually mentioned hearing rumors that she was practicing the vision sword technique here. Panic seized her. She had secretly borrowed this VIP room for Taijin without authorization. If he found out, she was dead. But Suhayan simply tapped her head with a gentle smile, claiming he trusted she would never misuse the guild's facilities for an outsider. His expression sharpened. He mentioned sensing a bizarre, powerful aura nearby, only to realize it was radiating from Taijin. Recognizing the martial art in play, Suhayan stepped forward. He remarked that he had heard the news. Their resident freelancer had obliterated the B rank test. His instincts had been sharp. Taijin was exactly the diamond in the rough he had suspected, and he was far from disappointed. Taijin stopped and thanked him for the support. Suhayan cut to the chase, confirming that Taijin was still a lone wolf without a guild banner. Since he was free, Suhayan saw no barrier to making a direct offer right then and there. Seeing Taijin's piqued interest, he revealed the plan. A major expedition was launching in a few days, with Seona appointed as the squad leader. However, a spot had opened up. A key member had been forced to withdraw after sustaining a critical, near-fatal injury. But the redhead suddenly interrupted. Panic in her voice, she argued that an rank expedition was suicide for Taijin, especially since they were going in blind. It was an uncharted zone with zero intel. The danger level was off the charts. She was clearly terrified for his safety, blushing with genuine concern. It was a touching sight, but Taijin instantly shattered the mood with his cold logic. He didn't see concern. He only saw someone underestimating his power. Suhayan stepped in to calm the waters. He assured her that with Taijin's current explosive growth, he was more than qualified for this dungeon sweep. Besides, he reminded her with a sly smile, this was an invitation, not a conscription order. He turned back to Taijin, asking the deciding question. Wouldn't slaughtering real monsters yield far better experience than a safe training room? The logic clicked instantly. Taijin calculated that in the heat of real battle, his growth rate would be 10 times faster than idle training. Naturally, he accepts the job, but with one condition. He demands the rights to keep every single magic stone dropped by the monsters he slays. We skip the rest of the negotiations and cut straight to the day of the raid. Our hero's phone buzzes with a strict command to arrive at 11:30 sharp. He scoffs, already annoyed by the micromanagement. While he stews in irritation, Mary speaks up, asking if diving into a dungeon is wise when the mastermind behind the exam rigging is still at large. But he dismisses her fears, assuring her that this time, the elite myth guild will be watching his back. Her skepticism remains, and she asks if a guild like myth can truly be trusted. He grins, explaining that the myth guild master and the leader of the Warang guild have been brothers in arms for 20 years. Betrayal is impossible, and even if they did decide to stab him in the back, it wouldn't make a difference. He claims an ambush wouldn't even scratch him, speaking with such overwhelming confidence that it practically guarantees disaster is looming. Mary warns him to check his ego, but he just keeps marching forward. The scene shifts instantly to the glowing portal entrance. Sienna approaches the protagonist, signaling him to introduce himself to the rest of the raid party. We meet the squad, the Lancer Chu Yu Shik, the healer Yun Ah Young, and the rookie gunslinger, No Yang Ul. Just as expected, they are all elite members from the 3rd Division. After a quick round of introductions, our hero asks to head in, but Sienna reveals they are still one man short. She explains that a team member was injured during last night's training, so they were forced to call in an emergency freelancer reserve. Before he can ask for a name, a car horn blasts through the air, followed by a voice screaming at him to get out of the road. A flashy luxury car door opens, and out steps a tattooed giant dripping in gold chains, asking if our protagonist is deaf or just stupid. This arrogant thug is unfortunately their final teammate. Keeping his cool, our hero approaches to introduce himself and ask for the stranger's name. The man does not even blink. He stares blankly, spits a glob of saliva near the protagonist's feet, and walks right past him. Without breaking stride, he barks that since the team is full, they need to stop wasting his precious time. Veins bulge on our hero's forehead. He is seconds away from snapping this guy's neck and landing a 3-hit combo. But Sienna intervenes, explaining that despite his trashy behavior, this man is a celebrity in the hunter world. He is the class of freelancer Kim Jun. He is known as human garbage, but his combat skills are undeniably top tier. But the real issue isn't his personality. It is that he exploits his freelance status to hog every magic stone, leaving the support team with zero loot to cover their medical bills. Sienna clearly hates the idea of working with him, but the mission parameters gave her no other choice. Our hero watches him, wondering how he has gone this long without meeting such a colossal jerk. But since Kim Jun has no guild backing him, our protagonist decides he will treat this trash exactly how he deserves to be treated. Inside the dungeon, the sky is a blood-red crimson. Sienna shouts for formation as the enemy wave begins. She orders them to hold the line as a swarm of monsters charges straight for them. The beasts roar like berserkers, but Kim Jun charges in solo, screaming that he has no time for small fry while smashing them with his luxury bag. As he pushes past the front line, Sienna screams at him to stop acting like a lone wolf. She reminds him that cooperation is key, warning that his recklessness puts the entire raid party in the grave. However, Kim Jun just laughs in her face, calling her a psychotic bitch. He claims she is paralyzed by fear and mocks her, saying a coward like her will never rise to the top. Sienna trembles with rage, but Kim Jun just points a finger in her face, blaming her for their slow pace. He declares that only the strong deserve fame and fortune, laughing at the joke of a weakling like her leading a team. In the background, he wears a look of absolute murder, and even Mary looks ready to smack this disrespectful pig. Sienna attempts to show the Duke ignores the However, our hero steps. The Duke confirmed the gravity of. However, the Duke revealed it. The team began to scoff, remarking that the mission seemed suspiciously easy for a grade 2 dungeon. They hadn't anticipated a simple search and retrieve quest, noting the Guardians were barely stronger than standard trash mobs. Kai analyzed the magical, but before she could finish her analysis, Kim cut her off, mocking her for overthinking a situation that was clearly straightforward. With a sneer, Seona argued to prioritize safety and keep the formation tight. But in a shocking twist, our protagonist stepped up and agreed with Kim. He even silenced the raid party divided into 3 groups of 2. Seona instructed them to regroup in the south once they secured the fragments, so they could face the final challenge as a unit. Taijin immediately. He even addressed him as Sir. Kim, his ego thoroughly. They eventually reached a gloomy graveyard, and Taijin, playing the fool, asked why his esteemed leader had chosen such an ominous spot. Kim shrugged nonchalantly. If any beast appeared, he would handle it. Still in character, Taijin asked if he could stick to a small corner, feigning fear that he might hold Kim back. Kim waved him off. However, meanwhile, Kim's irritation for a fleeting moment, frustrated beyond belief, Taijin's innocent smile cracked, replaced by a psychotic grin as he watched Kim activate the variability he had been waiting for. A flashback revealed that Taijin had shown a keen interest in that specific skill. When questioned back then, he had simply shrugged and claimed he was curious. Back in the present, this was exactly what he wanted. He had orchestrated the ultimate mass farming opportunity. Kim, now surrounded, Taijin coldly refused. Enveloped in a brilliant blue aura, he executed Phantom Step, chaining it instantly into the legendary Ascending Dragon Strike. In a single, devastating motion, he obliterated every zombie in the vicinity. Kim stood frozen, questioning whether Taijin was truly just a B-rank hunter. After the dust settled, Taijin casually thanked Kim for the taunt. He remarked that without it, no one could have guessed so many monsters were hiding there. To add insult to injury, he revealed a mountain of high-quality magic stones he had harvested. During the chaos, rubbing salt in the wound, Kim, visibly shaken by the display of power, suggested they leave immediately since they had secured the artifact. However, Taijin refused, insisting they should help the others by gathering even more magic stones. While they were here, with a sly, devilish smile, Taijin politely asked Kim to be a dear and use his taunt ability one more time. On the other side of the map, Seona's group met up with the other duo, and the 4 of them held their formation. Both groups managed to collect some crystals, but thanks to Taijin's efficiency, they secured all the artifacts. Because of his schemes, he completed the hidden mission, Impressive Growth. The exclusive mission required him to master the abilities he had copied from Mod E, and he had succeeded. The Ascending Dragon Fist was fully mastered, allowing him to unleash 100% of its destructive power. The sharpshooter was particularly flawed by the sheer volume of crystals Taijin had gathered. They couldn't even fit into a single inventory slot. To maintain his good guy image, he offered to let them take some of the loot. Kim looked like he had seen a ghost. Marie was even more surprised. Everyone declined, feeling it would be taking advantage of the protagonist's kindness since he earned it all himself. However, Taijin insisted, claiming that everyone had worked hard and his pockets were already overflowing. He lied through his teeth, saying Kim had shared with him earlier, so he was merely following his senior's example. To seal the deal, he shot Kim a menacing glance, asking if he was right. Terrified, Kim nodded along instantly. The raid party showered gratitude on both Tianjun and the big guy. With the battle over, the real work began harvesting the precious magical stones. However, Siana remained lost in thought. She couldn't pinpoint exactly what technique Tianjun had used, but the results were undeniable. He had completely dominated. Amidst the looting, Mary hesitantly asked if Tianjun was really okay with sharing the loot. He simply smirked. It wasn't about generosity. It was all about building his public image. Look at that face. The man was simply the reincarnation of Lloyd Frontera himself, and absolutely nothing could convince me otherwise. Back at the castle, the Duke welcomed the hunters with open arms. He praised their valor, claiming the cursed land would finally bloom with life thanks to their efforts. Siana asked where they should place the retrieved artifacts. The Duke smiled warmly, pointing to himself. He insisted they hand them over directly. As the lord of this domain, he alone possessed the authority to perform the purification offering. But this request made the redhead pause. Her eyes narrowed as a sharp, dangerous question formed on her lips. She recalled his initial briefing. He claimed he failed to protect the artifacts from barbarians, which unleashed the sealed evil that slaughtered everyone in the castle. He confirmed the story with a solemn nod. But Siana pressed the attack with the truly important question. Then how exactly did you survive? The atmosphere instantly turned suffocating. The Lord burst into maniacal laughter, praising her cleverness. Most lambs never see the butcher's knife coming until it is too late. But the trap had already sprung. He had been siphoning energy the moment they brought the artifacts within the castle walls. As he spoke, he ripped away his humble disguise. The frail nobleman vanished, revealing his true, monstrous form to the world. Behold the secret boss, the high-ranking vampire, Duke Duas. The incarnation of great evil itself stood before them. Facing an S+ danger level threat, Siana explained her deduction. A dungeon this massive without a final boss, that was the first major red flag. Furthermore, those artifacts radiated a chaotic energy. They were never meant to clear the dungeon, they were keys to a cage. It was a classic duplicated mission scenario. Delivering the items to the Lord didn't end the quest, it triggered the real nightmare mission. Tianjun's eyes sparkled, not with fear, but fascination. So this was how a duplicated mission mechanic worked in reality. It was a brilliant plot twist. The vampire extended a clawed hand. He commanded them to step forward, offer the tributes, and witness his glorious resurrection. Suddenly, Siana's eyes went blank. Like a puppet on strings, the redhead began marching toward the monster, artifacts in hand. Tianjun was back, but before he could finish, he weaved through the but our protagonist stood. The Duke recoiled. Tianjun responded with a universe. Rage twisted the vampire. Today, Tianjun sighed. However, he simply channeled mana, especially with Kim. The flick was followed by a punch so devastating. Gravity lagged behind before he slammed into the floor. Tianjun strode. That was easier than terror finally gripped. The puppet obeyed. She was fast, sure and ascending, minds racing. The vampire observed the hesitation and came to a ridiculous conclusion. Ah, I see it now. You two are star-crossed lovers. He gloated. Tianjun looked as he stared down the protagonist realized. The Duke recoiled in confusion, but our sharp-eyed protagonist caught it instantly. A flicker of hesitation. She was actually reacting to his nonsense. Theory confirmed. It was a gamble, but he gazed into her eye. She had told him that and then our chaotic madman nuked the mood. He casually admitted he had hawked that precious gift at the flea market. He whined about being broke. Perfect. He spun around. To seal the deal, the petite vampire shrieked in agony, frantically commanding the protagonist to release his grip this instant. But our absolute maniac, system calculations, the Duke tore him. Panic set in. He couldn't comprehend what this lowly human had just done to his superior ocular powers. As his fallen victims began stirring from their slumber, the vampire realized his control was shattered, but it was impossible. No one had ever broken his hold before. The only logic, seething with rage, he demanded to know the protagonist's secret. But our clever madman just shrugged, asking why a corpse needed answers. He poured salt in the... Oh wait, that insult... He roared, summoning a blade, but he never reached his target. Sienna didn't waste a breath. She rallied the squad. Mana flared as everyone charged their ultimates. Sienna held the front line, an immovable wall denying the vampire any escape. Cornered and bleeding, the vampire lost his mind, screeching that mere insects could never topple a lord of the night. From the sidelines, suddenly Na Young emerged from the shadows. Double tap. She fired to precision rounds, declaring she was done being dead weight. Bullseye. Up front, Sienna, while the vanguard bought her power of the storm, she unleashed her ultimate art, the panting head. But Tai Jun stepped in at 100%. As the dust settled, he declared that Li Tai Jun never lowers his guard until the ashes are cold. Standing over the charred the gunslinger, the first thing he saw was... But Tai Jun froze. Even when the redhead pressed it, the dungeon gate yawned open. Only the redhead seemed to recall. She demanded an explanation. Unfortunately for the group, prepared to depart immediately, and the healer extended a warm invitation for our hero to join the victory feast. But the protagonist... This dungeon reeked of ancient secrets unlike any other. He couldn't walk away without knowing when or if he'd ever encounter a place like this again. To the untrained eye, it was madness. To him, it was essential cultivation, a specialized form of training to push his limits. Admiration sparkled in the redhead's eyes. She praised his boundless energy, captivated by his dedication to the path of power. Both in the past and now, the air crackled with unspoken emotion as she stepped close, her hand gently cupping his face. She whispered a soft plea for him not to push himself too hard. Pulling away, she left him with a promise to meet later. One by one, they vanished through the blue swirling portal. But Mary wasn't buying the act for a second. As soon as they were alone, she demanded to know his real scheme. She knew he wasn't the type to study a dungeon for academic purposes. He was hunting for something. The protagonist smirked. She read him like an open skill book. He admitted that, just like in the old days, he was obsessed with squeezing every drop of value to survive and evolve. And this time, her intuition had hit the mark perfectly. He tapped the system interface, highlighting a mysterious question mark pulsing in the center of the castle map, a hidden piece. With a dramatic flair, he pointed toward the unknown. It was time to loot the real treasure. Following the map's guidance, they arrived at a silent, dusty library. Mary scanned the room, finding nothing amiss. But her instinct screamed that secrets lay dormant here. Our protagonist decided to test a classic trope from old movies. He searched for the one book that would trigger the hidden mechanism. A satisfying click echoed through the room. The bookshelf groaned and swung open, revealing a dark passage. Greed for the hidden piece blinded him to caution. Eyes locked on the prize, he stepped into the darkness without a second thought. Disaster struck. A trap mechanism snapped into action, nearly skewering him. Mary shouted a warning, but his agility was the only thing that saved him from becoming a skewer. Mary scolded him, noting the map was red with danger zones. The dungeon was a minefield of invisible death, undetectable even to his heightened senses. The trap triggers were perfectly concealed. Even our protagonist had to admit he hadn't expected the difficulty spike to be this high. But this was the perfect opportunity to test his new gear. He opened his inventory and equipped the legendary Lich Staff.